talk about like presence. Obviously, at the quarterback position, that's so important. But you go to these camps. What do you do to stand out? You talked about introducing yourself on email. What do you want to see when a kid's actually there? Like when they show up, what do you want to see in regards to the things that you can't really measure on a highlight film? Because that's their opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So what do they do differently in person to stand out?
From the very get-go, just being prepared. I mean, it's simple as when you're registering, you're getting the proper paperwork. You're not scrambling. You see kids there, they don't know exactly what they're supposed to bring. Just from the very beginning, you're introducing yourself. That's huge for me. You don't want to just be a number on your shirt that these kids get assigned to. So it's number 14, and you're trying to get his attention. But you go up there, hey coach, how you doing? Michael White, nice to meet you. And it's going to be that the coach is going to associate you right away to a name and being a person rather than a football player.
And just a number, right? Because there's hundreds of kids sometimes at these camps.
I mean, some kids go out there, they'll wear a headband or bright colored shorts or something like that. That's great. You do stand out, but you become labeled as a kid with the bright yellow shorts. So that's what we think we will remember you by.
Instead of Mike, Tom,
The football player, he can make the throws. So it's just being assertive in every drill. Don't go crazy and trying to take every rep, but show that you're wanting to compete against the guy in front of you and behind you. Understanding, too, that there is a ton of film out there with any camp that you go to, any event that you go to. Prepare yourself beforehand, see what drills they're running, so you're not getting up there and wasting any rep. A lot of kids go out there and the first rep they'll kind of mess up on and they get flustered. They'll just get back in line. Well, there's 10 kids about to go. Why don't you step to the side and go through the footwork, understand the drill, watch that guy rather than looking around, seeing how the receivers are doing. That your opportunity for the day is to make yourself known, so you got the skills that you want to compete. So now why it's only for 4 or 5 hours. Why waste a minute out there? It's just like why waste a play on the football field?
Well, I know a lot of guys are they're grab assing or they're joking around with their friends or they want to get to know people. But what I see often too, and it's something that we've talked about before, is they're more focused on stuff that are outside of the camp than just the 4 hours that they're there. Because it might only be 4 minutes that they're actually doing something with a coach, and it might be 4 hours of the day, and that's broken up of them being in line, being taught the drills, doing a lot of other things. And yet, instead of focusing, taking mental reps, building that relationship with those coaches, or even the players, they're focusing on somebody else. So, basically just zero in on kind of what they're doing, do your job, make sure that you're all in that day, and then go back and do your stuff and have fun with your friends later.
Yeah. And can you, after the camp or the next couple of days, remember what you were taught and build on it? So if you're not focusing on every rep, you're not going to be able to get better after the camp. And it goes a lot too. We'll find it in this business or the camp circuits that it's a real situations where you can look to your left or your right and you see a player and he has a bad rep and it's kind of like skewed in your head or whoever the media is out there like, you get this one opportunity, you never know who's going to look. So that happens a lot too, and if the kid's not paying attention, it's really easy for the coaches to be like, all right, I'm not wasting my time. This kid really wants to get better. We're looking at this kid, and same thing with the media. They can go out and you want to maximize every opportunity. Too many times you'll see a receiver out there run a kind of a slow route or not give it his all, and kind of you can tell a media guy goes up. Overrated or something like that.
Yeah, so, right. Not an effort guy, not fast enough.
So you got to understand how quickly your view from somebody else can be changed by one rep, and it's a terrible part of the business, but it's the nature of the business.
And it's a necessity too, because that might be that reporter's one chance to see you. That might be that coach or person who's evaluating you or writing for Rivals or ESPN or for whatever these big sites are. That might be their only time they actually get to see you in person because they're covering a regional event and there's kids from multiple different states. They're not going to every high school game. They see some highlight films. They get 3-minute clips. They get that commercial. But when they get to see it live, that's their impression, and you want to make an impression.
And the positive side of that, if you do go out there and give it your all in every rep, there's opportunities to make plays, and you're going to catch somebody's eye, the right person who's going to be like, oh, I'm going to watch a couple more of his plays.
Yeah, so you said something that just hit me. It's a big deal. It's like there's no downside to all-out effort. Like there's no downside whatsoever for a kid that's just going to go balls to the wall and just do everything he can to go get that ball, even if it might be a bad throw. Or like the quarterback that pulls that guy aside and say, hey, listen, when you run that, here's what I need to see. So he's kind of building other people up in the same sense of, creating that presence for him too.
Yeah.
So it's part of that, that stuff that we can't really tell on a highlight film either, because those are the things that kind of pull you, out of the crowd a little bit too.
Yeah, and then if you look further upon it, the so-called 5 stars out there, you got to realize that everybody's out there wanting you to do bad. They want to be able to say you're overrated, or you want your competition wants to say, why is he better than me? I went out there, he had 2 bad reps. So there's the highest part of the list where you can't go any farther, but you can keep going down. So why would you want to put yourself in that situation? And then there's the other part where you want to maximize your 3-star, you're being overlooked like people were saying, or you're saying to yourself. So you want to be able to climb. You can do that by every rep, catching somebody's eye, rather than losing an opportunity or wasting a moment.
And you mentioned that there's more, 3 or 4 stars or 2 stars in the NFL than there are 5 stars.
Yeah, and that's a little skewed because we all
obviously
know
there's more 3 stars, there's more 2 stars than there are 5 stars. But maybe that guy's always competing for a ceiling that he's already hit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you got it. Well, if you did those things, well, yeah, we knew you could do those things. And if you don't do those things, then you just proved a lot of people right and made some people happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like to think, instead of proving people wrong, prove yourself right.
Yeah.
And it's just a different mentality. But at the same time, it's like, you got to go out there all the time and just get better. So if you're ranked, or you're not ranked at all, that gives you an opportunity. Go get yourself on the map. Go get noticed. Go introduce yourself. You should be doing everything right, no matter what.
Yeah. And if you are the underrated guy, overlooked guy, don't worry about comparing yourself to the guys that already have the 20, 25 offers. Those guys have done something on the field that's caught many coaches' attention. So don't worry about that. Go up there when you get a chance to go against them. That's when you worry about them. Compete to the highest level when you can maximize your opportunity to go against Johnny 5-star when you're the 3-star. So you'll have something on film where you can say, hey, for confidence, I'm as good as him, or I'm better, and I can build off that. Don't worry about, he got all the attention because he's Mr. 5-star recruit, but maximize every rep opportunity that you get, no matter who you're going against.
Absolutely. Those are some great tips. I mean, I think the key is it's also executing them. A lot of kids, they hear this stuff, but then they never go out there and do it. And you're like right back where you started. You never make a big change. You just go, you get like 10% better, or a couple percent better next camp, next year. If you go to these camps, you've ran these camps, you have evaluated these kids, you want to see a kid that goes from maybe the Ohio State camp that comes down here to Redskins Park or DC, or like the Florida camps. You want to see a kid change. You want to see a kid improve. So if you said, hey, here's some things I need you to work on, those kids don't come back with those same exact problems, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a chance to take that, absorb what those coaches are saying about you during that one day, right? Make a change, and then show up the next day with a great attitude. Say, hey, coach, nice to meet you. Thanks again for last week, last camp, whatever, and then let's get after it. And then they're going to kind of put something in their head and go, you know what, that kid's different.
Yeah. And it goes even more important is when the kids start going to the college camps, we'll talk about it later, but it's a follow-up email. It's like treat it as a job interview, and everything you do, you're building your resume, you're selling yourself, so what's wrong with sending a follow email to a few people to try to get feedback? A lot of kids leave there and they're like, oh, what's next? Well, most of the industry is not going to give you an evaluation, tell you what you need to work on, what you don't need to work on, but it doesn't hurt to fire another email off and find out if there's anything you can do better.
And the other thing, you're trying to develop some sort of correspondence with the coach, a dialogue. And, again, like you said, like the resume, no one's going to apply for a job and then the employer is going to say, hey, we didn't hire you. Here's why. If you work on these things, maybe somebody else, my competitor or another team, would hire you. That's not what's going to happen. And you're lucky enough in football to where those coaches are going to give you some feedback, and then you're going to take that and do something with it. And again, if you don't do anything with it, you're in the same boat that you were in before. Yep. And even worse, because time's passed now. So, not only following up for the purpose of getting feedback, but also it's the respect thing. It's like, hey, coach took some time to spend with you, show you the campus. Now, it'd be really nice if you said thank you for that. The other thing is, I would also like to add that it's again, how do you stand out?